welcome to our Navigating Today's Dutch Job Markets, Understanding the Trends and Building Your Career webinar. This is one that we actually already asked on LinkedIn and our other platforms what you all would be most interested in, and this one got a lot of votes. So we're really happy to see you all here to talk about this important topic. To give you a little bit of an idea of who we are, I'll introduce myself and then give Luis a chance to introduce himself before letting you know a bit more about the agenda for this session. My name is Aubrey de Wilde. I am now working as a digital and content marketer at Untouchables, but started actually as a recruitment consultant in our Eindhoven office. So I have gotten to see both the recruitment side and now a bit more involved in how the market is changing and from the marketing side. So it's interesting to see that from both perspectives and to be able to watch what's changed in the last 8 years since I joined the company. I myself am an international who moved to the Netherlands. I'm from the United States originally and moved here for love, as maybe many of you can relate to. So joined Untouchables in 2018 and have been enjoying getting to help other internationals find their journey here in the Netherlands ever since. And Louise, I'm very happy to be presenting with today. So Louise, maybe you can introduce yourself as well.
For sure. As you guys know already, my name is Luis. I'm Brazilian from São Paulo. I moved to the Netherlands around 8 years ago already. I came here also the same reason as Aubrey, for love. I was here just on holidays, celebrating my graduation in marketing, and I met my husband here. Very happy so far. But back in Brazil, my background was in the commercial sector, marketing, and also diversity and inclusion. I was a speaker over there. And moving here, as mostly internationals, we get a little lost, don't know what to do. But I found myself in recruitment, what was great, because there are a lot of transferable skills. We're going to talk about this later. But a lot of skills that I had acquired in marketing and commercial, and my heart for diversity and helping people, I found in recruitment. And especially now, working for Untouchables was a great company with a great mission, helping internationals to find a job. For me, is a great match and a great opportunity to do what I love and help you guys to succeed in your career. Very happy to be here today with you.
Thanks, Luis. We're looking forward to hearing from you a bit later in the session again with all of your great tips, both from your personal perspective as an international and with your expertise as a recruiter.
Let's go.
Great. To give you all an idea of what we'll be talking about today, I'll give a bit of an introduction about who we are at Untouchables. I think many of you have been familiar with us for a while, but we might have some newcomers here, so I'll give you a quick run through. And then we're going to go through the current Dutch job market and what's going on, what's changing, what you can expect to see, as well as diving into what employers are really looking for. What are the things that maybe are not as clear on the surface, but are good to know that are happening with the organizations that are out there hiring. As well as practical ways to stand out. So what you can do to make sure that you're meeting those employers' expectations, and finally to stay relevant for the future with the market and the expected changes in the market. And then, as I mentioned before, we'll finish with the Q&A session. Also, I just wanted to say ahead of time, I'm known for being a fast talker. Apologies if it goes too quick. I will try to keep it a bit slower today. But like I mentioned, there will be a recording of this later, so you can always go back, watch it at half speed if you need to, because I know that I tend to talk quite quickly, and we have a lot of information we want to share with you today. So just giving you a heads up from the beginning. To start you off, to let you know a little bit about who Untouchables is, we actually are really excited. We've celebrated our 30th anniversary this year. So we've been around for the last 30 years, specializing in helping multilingual professionals and international companies find each other. We work throughout the Netherlands, actually all across the Netherlands. So we have a few different hubs that we work from in Amsterdam, Eindhoven, Utrecht, etc. But from those hubs, we actually cover all of the Netherlands, and we work with different types of companies in all sorts of sectors, with the factor being that they are looking for someone who speaks multiple languages. So English and other languages, including basically anything you can think of, and especially we hear a lot of things. We have a lot of positions for speaking French, German, Arabic, Spanish, Portuguese, etc. So we really, like Louise said, it's really wonderful to be able to work in this field where we get to help connect the bridge between the companies and all of you searching for a job, and especially when we know as internationals how it is to try to start up your career in a new market can be challenging. And so we love to be able to help with that where we can. Either whether that's in sharing information about the market with you, or if we can actually work together on finding a new position. So another thing that's important to know about what Untouchables does is we work on those multilingual roles within an office setting. So administration, customer service, marketing, IT, all of that direction. But we don't handle the roles that are more hospitality, or the more hands-on roles are not in our expertise area. So then we can always send you through to another agency that handles that, but we handle the office-based multilingual roles. So what you all came here for, the current Dutch job market, what is going on and what can you expect? First of all, we wanted to start with the idea that success in the Dutch job market is about understanding the market and how to position yourself in it. It's really, especially in the current market, which we'll get to in a moment, it's really important that you understand what's going on, that you take the time to learn what to expect, what employers expect, and also what you can do to be successful in it. That's going to be a really key factor in taking the next steps in your career here. So to give you a little background, the last several years, especially since the COVID-19 pandemic, the market has been really tight on the employer side. So what we saw is that everyone kind of shut down with the pandemic. And after that, the market there were a lot of positions available as companies were starting back up again and trying to grow afterwards. That really made it a candidate market. So what that looked like was that there were a lot of jobs available. In fact, so many jobs that there were not enough people to fill them, which meant that companies were desperately trying to get candidates in, and that candidates really had the choice, any choice that they wanted, because you could apply for roles, and companies needed people so badly that you could really choose between offers and choose between roles. Which is, of course, a nice luxury. Didn't mean that everyone was landing their dream job, of course, because it's still a puzzle to find where you fit and what works with your skill sets and your level of experience. But it was much easier on the candidate side to find a job because of all of these positions that were opening up and that companies were looking to fill. So that's where we're coming from. Not the same as where we're at now, so I'll get to that in a moment. But another thing that's been happening in the last few years is a lot of changes happened really quickly. A lot of that is also related to the pandemic, not all of it, but it did expedite some of these changes that were already coming. For instance, things such as the ability for remote and hybrid work, flexible schedules, or different hours. All of that has changed a lot in the last years, as well as things that have been changing in the overall market and the global market as well. We saw a big change in speed in the last few years, that things have been adjusting quickly, and that organizations and job seekers are having to also learn to adjust quickly and figure out how to deal with the new market that's showing up. So what's happening now? Like I said, we had a candidate market, so it was somewhat take your pick of nice positions. That's not entirely the case anymore. There are still many positions available. However, it's evening out. So where before were so many job openings and fewer job seekers, now it's evening out so that the job openings are more in line with the amount of job seekers, which makes it more competitive. Hiring is still happening, though. I know what we see a lot on LinkedIn, it can look like that's not happening at all. You hear of companies with hiring freezes, or you hear of people who've sent in lots of applications and nothing is happening. It can make it look like the market is closed and not hiring, but that's not true. Hiring is still happening, but the companies are being much more cautious and selective about their hiring processes. So it's not going as quickly as it did before. It's not going as easily as it did before, both for the competition side, that there's just more people applying for the same role, as well as for the side that the companies are being more careful in who they're actually taking on board and what that process looks like. So that means that a lot of processes are also becoming longer, becoming more detailed. There might be more steps in the process, which Louise is going to talk to us about in a little bit. But that all has to do with this change of companies now not having so many roles open and being able to more choose more between the candidates that are applying for their roles. And so they're really trying to find the right fit. Another thing that's really important, especially with our very diverse audience from all over the world joining today, is that it's important to think about how that affects other parts of your career journey as well, such as visa opportunities. So sponsorship is there's different types of visas in the Netherlands, and many opportunities still exist. And some of the changes in the market have been to create more opportunities within visa for certain countries. There's more opportunities to come here on a freelance visa, for instance, or there are some entrepreneurial visas available that didn't used to be as accessible. However, if you're looking for a sponsored visa by a company, it still exists, but it is challenging for the same reasons as we already mentioned for the market in general, because companies are being more selective. They're trying to be careful in where they put their risk factor, and not every company is able or willing to provide sponsorship. So that's really something to think about and look into ahead of time. Is where do the visa opportunities exist for your specific skill set, and how can you make sure that sponsorship is possible for you, because in the current market, it's more challenging than has been in the past. So like I already mentioned, it's not necessarily harder, and it's definitely not impossible, but it is more competitive at the moment. So why the shift? I think I've already kind of touched on some of it. But one thing that's really a big factor is the economic uncertainty that's happening in the world in general. I think we can all notice this. Prices are rising everywhere we look. And what that means is that prices are also rising for companies, and also that their businesses are being affected as the people they work with adjust their buying strategies as well. So this means that they need to be careful with how much overhead they're dealing with, how much risk they take on, and that includes then being more careful with their hiring process. And another thing that's really affecting the shift is political changes and political discussions. So not everything has gone into effect in the Netherlands yet, but there has been a shift in recent years as far as political discussions go around topics like immigration, what to expect in the coming years with that. There's a bit of there are just ongoing discussions happening there that make it a bit unclear and a bit more uncertain for companies as well. So on top of the economic side, you also have some political expectations of what's coming next. One specific example is the 30% ruling. Maybe some of you have heard of that before, or even get to participate in that. But this has to do with international talent that comes to the Netherlands that may qualify for a tax deduction based on what they're coming here to do, what you're coming here to do, what your role is, and if you qualify. That's, of course, a huge benefit and a great way to bring in new talent into the country. But there's been some discussions about that deduction being reduced. The likelihood that it will be reduced to 27% is already happening. And so those discussions have sparked a lot of questions around the whole topic of international hiring and immigration that have put companies, gotten them more involved in the discussion as well, and that also changed the situation for some job seekers looking to come here. So those are all good things to keep in mind and to keep watch on as you're thinking about your next career step, is what's happening with the economy, what's happening politically in my sector, to see what's going to affect the market. And as we mentioned, that's already affecting shifts in the market now, which really results in companies reducing risk. And with the reducing risk, that means that they are really looking for only the best fit. So they're willing to wait often for the right fit. They're less willing to take on a risk factor, whether that be that someone lives a bit further of a commute away, or whether someone needs a visa, whether someone doesn't quite have the right experience that they're looking for. All of those things companies are being more careful with than they have been in the previous market, where where it was a candidate market. So they're really looking for the best fit only. Now, I always think when I start talking about the market as it is now, it can sound a bit frustrating or a bit demotivating. But don't worry, there are a lot of opportunities available. We're still seeing really strong demand in the tech and AI and data related roles. What we do see in this area is that some of the main tech roles that were growing for a long time are evening out. But what we do see is that every company is looking to grow in the tech and especially in the AI area. And that means that if you have that skill set, that even companies that are not specific tech companies need tech experts in their company. So even customer focused organizations. So really this is spreading. So it might not be growing in a specific field as much as it's spreading to all the different types of organizations. So that's really one that we see growing a lot. I'll get to that in the numbers in a minute even. Another one that we still see really strong demand, which is good news, is e-commerce and logistics. Even with some of this uncertainty we've been talking about, the e-commerce and logistics, we're all still, trade is still running. So that means that companies are really still running all of their systems, and that they still need operations, logistics, and specifically in the e-commerce area, that this is still very strong. Another thing that we see, especially in our niche of working with internationals, is that the multilingual customer-facing roles are also continuing to grow as the market becomes even more global and we work together across borders. Then you see a higher need for this as well. And that's why Untouchables has been doing this for 30 years. But we see this growing even more as the global market continues to work closer together and speed up. So all of these multilingual roles where you're, customer service, sales, marketing, working with developing new markets or new products, all of that is still is also still growing and in strong demand. Something also specific to the Netherlands and is that we really see a lot of need for candidates in hospitality and healthcare, and some of those other more hands-on fields that are really looking for expertise and looking for personnel. So that's a good area to look in as well. Something that we find important to talk about also is how the market is dealing with specialists versus generalists. It's becoming increasingly important to specialize in something. And that doesn't mean you have to have a lot of degrees in one specific area, but what it does mean is you need a unique skill set that sets you apart from others in your field or others in general, other competition in the job field. So specializing is something that we really see a stronger and stronger demand for because it sets you apart, especially in the time of AI. And generalists are becoming, depending on how what kind of generalist you are, then you still need to find a way to set yourself apart. So that's maybe good to think about which side you fit into at the moment. Are you a specialist or are you a generalist? And regardless of which one you are at the moment, what is your specific skill set that can set you apart as a specialist, even if your skills are more widely spread or your experience is more widely spread? So keep that in mind also as we go into the part about positioning yourself in the job market. So a lot of things available. This is definitely not a comprehensive list. These are some of the main ones we still see growing and see a lot of potential in, but there are a lot of other opportunities available as well. So don't be afraid that there are no opportunities out there, but the expectations are higher and the processes run a bit differently than they may have in the past. So just for those of you who are more data driven and want to see some graphs, then we have a little bit more information here to give you some insight into the current multilingual job market in the Netherlands. The most interesting thing to look at here is how this has changed over the last year. So this is for approximately the last year. What you see is consumer goods, IT, and industrial are really close percentage-wise on the graph. What we see a lot of as well is pharma, biochemical, food, logistics is one of the ones that's in the last category, overig, which is other. The logistics is another big chunk of that category. But what's interesting to note is that in the last years, consumer goods has always been a really big one, especially because of what we just mentioned with multilingual candidates and multilingual facing roles in these companies that are expanding globally. But interestingly, in the last year, we've seen a shift to IT growing immensely and industrial as well, that those two have filled in where consumer goods used to be the clear majority. Now IT and industrial are evening out with that. So that's also, like I already mentioned, it's growing, and IT is growing and spreading as well. And so whether or not you are an IT professional or want to become a programmer, learning some IT skills and staying up to date with AI is going to be in your best interest. Another thing that's good to know is that if per region, it can be a bit different. So depending on which area you're looking at, I won't go too much into all of the details on all the little graphs, but it's good to know that each area has some different areas of expertise and different types of companies that establish themselves there. So Amsterdam is a bit more known for the financial area as well as the entertainment area and hospitality tourism area. Utrecht is a lot more of a congregation of headquarters where you have a lot of those customer-facing roles, as well as a bit more of the consultancy side of things. Once you get down to Eindhoven, more in the south, you get a lot more industrial and production related, not just in the production field, but also within the customer service side of things with handling project management, all of those kinds of things. And The Hague tends to be a bit more of the political and nonprofit area, especially with being such an important political center. So you see some of those differences, and that might be helpful, especially to those of you not yet in the Netherlands, to know which area is going to be most suitable for me to look in, and which area is my specific skill set going to be of most interest to the businesses that are there. Another thing that's really important to cover, because I know depending on where you're coming from, we all have different salary expectations. I know I came from the US, Luis came from Brazil, and the salary in the Netherlands is different than it is in the US and different from Brazil again. So it's really good to look into this before you come. We hear from a lot of internationals that, they don't really know what to expect. What do you ask for? What can you expect when it comes to salary? So wanted to give you a little bit of an insight into how that works. With such a diverse group, I'm going to keep it a bit more general, but then to give you an idea of what types of factors apply. So the salary in the Netherlands depends on on a few different factors. It's not just about your position in the market. Well, it's a combination basically of your position in the market and not just your past experience. It's not just about what's on your CV. So some things that employers take into account when they make you an offer is what is your relevant experience? And this can mean not just specific amount of years or your diploma, but what have you been able to do that is going to be interesting for what you're going to do at their company. And this can actually be a really nice thing in the Netherlands, where even if you don't have years in that area, if you do have some relevant experience, that can help you get started on your career here. So that's a good thing to also look at your experience and maybe through a few different angles to see where that applies and what is relevant. Another thing that employers look at is language skills, especially with Louise and I, the recruitment we're doing at Untouchables. Of course, this is an important one, but it's important across the market, as we mentioned, with the global growth. So depending on the language skills, that can sometimes depend on the offer that you're going to get as well. If you sometimes we say the more languages, the better. So to those of you who are fluent in a lot of languages, then great. That's really good news. And what we see as also a change in the market is that Dutch is being asked for even more often than it used to be. Even though the Netherlands is really international, you can get quite far with just English or English and another language. Dutch is really becoming more and more important to employers, especially as they're being more cautious and hiring maybe one person instead of where they would have hired multiple people before. This can also be really helpful for your internal communication. So keep that in mind. We're definitely not saying you have to be instantly fluent in Dutch because we know how that goes. We've both also had to learn the language, but speaking some Dutch or at least putting effort into learning some can really increase your chances of impressing employers here and also of having more growth opportunities within the Dutch job market and within your career choices. Another thing that affects salary is the demand for your profile and specific skill set, excuse me. So as I talked about before, specialist versus generalist, what is it that sets you apart and that makes you the candidate that they really need? And also, is it something that you can do that other people can't? Then there's a higher chance that that's going to be better in your salary negotiations as well. And another thing that's really important to keep in mind is that Dutch employers try to keep their salary offers in line with the market so that it's fair, and also with team standards so that it's fair within the company and within the team. Many companies even already have a setup of which types of roles fall into which salary category. They may even be able to share that with you close to the beginning. But just know that when you get a salary offer, there's a lot of different things being put into it by the employer, and also things that you can think about so that you can negotiate if you're interested in that. But that often a Dutch employer will try to make an offer that they think is fair based on all of these things, and that's going to create a good long-term collaboration. So just to finish off a little bit about the market with the salary in the Netherlands, currently the minimum hourly salary is 14 euros and 71 cents. That's approximately 2,560 per month. This is the minimum salary. Now, if you need a sponsorship and you're working on a knowledge migrant visa, then the minimum is much higher. But this is the minimum across the board in the Netherlands. So that's good to know. This is one of the highest in the EU, actually. And I know with talking to candidates that this can always be a question mark of, if you're coming from one place, this can look really great. If you're coming from another place, maybe it looks like different than you would expect or lower than you would expect. The most important thing is to look at the full package. So what is it that they're offering? What is it that is there? Because legally, employees are very well protected in the Netherlands. We have a whole nother webinar about that on our YouTube channel. So feel free to go watch that if you want to know a bit more about what you can expect in a contract and with benefits. But it is good to know that the Netherlands really watches out for employees and that the salaries are set up in a way that should be beneficial for you at the end of the day, and that ranks quite highly in the EU list. So then keep that in mind. And of course, then if you have questions as you're going along with your actual offers and contracts, then you can always dive into that a bit more. But always good to know what the minimum is so you can know where to build from as well. So I think now I'm passing it along to Luis so he can share his expertise with you about not just what's going on in the market, but what you can do about it.
Yeah, let's talk about my favorite topic, because as an international, as I said in the beginning, I know how hard is it to penetrate the Dutch market. But today we're going to give you some tips on how to perform and how to build a career over here. So let's go. First thing, to adjust your expertise to the Dutch market, like coming from another country, I know you guys are not very used to use recruitment agencies, for example. Back in Brazil, that is not very common. Or if we have it, is a paid service. But in the Netherlands, that is for free. So be aware that recruitment agencies in the Netherlands are for free. If any recruiter approach you, there's a lot of scams going on everywhere. So be aware that this service here You don't pay for anything. Who pay is our clients, the company, when they hire you. And working with the recruitment agency is very, very simple. I'll explain you how to subscribe and be part of our more than 60,000 pool of candidates, but we're gonna get there. Working with us, you can have recruiter to advocate for you. So there's a lot of benefits, time-wise, flexibility-wise, and work with us. Like you can have a direct contract with the company, or they can use us also to be your employer and you work through Untouchables to the company. There's two possibilities, but this varies from company to company. During the interview process, there are different kinds of ways to go. With Untouchables, mostly we do a screening call. When you apply, we do a screening call and then we have one interview with you. And then after that, we give you to the client to prepare you to go, and then you go to the client. On their side, there are different processes, some ask study cases, assessments, everything, as I already said, to guarantee that you are the best fit, because the competition is real, guys. That is really happening and we can't run from that. So we can always prepare and be aware that this is going on and do our best to succeed. But all along the process, it's very important that we keep the direct communication. Welcome to the Netherlands. Here, the Dutch people, they are very direct, very to the point, and especially coming from other countries is very good to be aware of it, because sometimes they're just being direct and we get a little impressed how they can say something on our faces. They are very used also to feedback style, to say something if you're not performing or if they have any point of improvement. So keep in mind that in the Netherlands, that's really our thing. And as international, I totally feel you, I totally can tell you based on experience that this is a little shocking in the beginning, but after you're gonna see it's very, very efficient. And if the Dutch are direct, keep in mind that you also can be direct. So keep to the point, sharp, and I'm sure you guys can succeed. Here, to be part of our pool of candidates is very simple. We have a very nice, simple portal that you can apply and already start with the registration. The registration part is the most important part. Some people, they don't take it very serious, especially when they are really eager to find the job. They only want to like upload their CV, apply for the job, and that's it. But this doesn't work in your benefit, because if you're applying for that job, for sure, we are getting your application. We're going to take a look on your CV. Good. You can get a rejection, get approved. Let's see. But let's say that I got a new role that I get a new role next day, and then you don't fill up your information, your address or whatever, because we keep it as simple as possible for you don't take too much time to fill up all information, but it's important that you really do that you go for it. So in case I go in my databases and I go look for someone, that I find you, because this work both sides. Once you apply or when I look for you, because can be that we have a portal that you can activate the job alert. So as soon as I post a new position, you're gonna get, if there's a language skills that you have or background related that is a match, you're gonna get a notification. Then you can, okay, I will apply for the job, but maybe you are busy, maybe you didn't see, or maybe you didn't activate. So you lose the opportunity to get a notification, to get approached by a recruiter from Untouchables or any kind of recruitment agency that you have applied for. So it's very important that you take your time to fill up all the information so we can work together and make it work for you. After your application, you can apply for how many jobs you want, but one advice I can give to you is don't apply for many positions, for many jobs with the same CV, especially if they are not related. For example, if you're applying for a customer support position or after for a management position, you can have two CVs, one CV highlighting your skills in customer support and one CV highlighting your skills as a manager. Because if you apply, for example, with the same generalist CV for marketing, management, customer support, even though you have this expertise, the chance that you're going to have many rejections is too big. And then if you get many rejections, you feel frustrated and it doesn't help you to succeed, doesn't help you to prepare. So it's very important that you take also this moment of application serious. Read the job description, see if you are really a match. After I have some more tips for you guys, but don't apply for everything at the same day. Like some people, they say, I applied 20 roles in the same day, I get 20 rejections. It's going to keep happening. It's very important that you really take your process serious, that you understand, okay, they are looking for this. I can do this job because your CV is your first impression. So if this is not really tailored and showing us that you are good match for that position, maybe after you're gonna get a rejection. If you are lucky to get a call and explain yourself how good you are and why you are a match, then it's okay. But in case you don't get, this is gonna only build you frustration. Interview. We, as a recruitment agency, we have the process of a screening call. So we call you just to have a chat. So it's very important that you know which kind of job you applied for, because it's very bad if we call you and say, hey, I'm calling you, you applied for one of my roles. Oh, I don't remember. I applied for so many things that I don't remember. This is already not good. So it's very important to say, okay, I applied for this, and that. Which one you are talking about? And then I say, okay, he's really on top of his process. And then, or she. So I can say, okay, we go from here. Also about the interview, if we think that's a match during the screening call, we're going to invite you for an interview process with us. In the interview, I'm going to check who you are, your storytelling, hard, soft skills based on what my client's looking for, because uphand, I already know what my client's looking for. So when I go for the interview with you or any other recruiter, we going to scan, is this person a match, culture fit, team fit, background is really a match. And then if there is a match, we introduce you to the company. Then we are allowed to tell you what's the company about, what they do, a little bit more information about the role. And then from there on, we follow. We prepare you to go. We tell you who's going to be there in the meeting, what you can expect, so you go more confident. Because once you go to our client, they already know you, because we report after our meeting, we generate a report about you, about the conversation, how you come across, your communication, your background. So once you go, your chances are here, because you already cross a big line of candidates. We already filtered everything. So when you go to our clients, your chances are very high to perform, because they already know you. So it's just a matter of they understand your communication and they see this person fits with my team, they can work here with us, and then you go on the process. Sometimes, mostly of our clients, they do one round of interview, the first round like online, second round in the office, and then it can vary. It can be 3 rounds. Sometimes, depending on the position, they can ask one assessment, one study case. They can ask you, for example, if it's marketing related, for you to, do some presentation, whatever role you apply, they can also ask this. But all the way, along the way, Untouchables is with you until you get hired. When you get your contract, mostly in the Netherlands, they have a contract meeting where you can really ask your questions and everything that's related to salary benefits. That's a really good moment to talk about salary negotiating the salary. Untouchables also help you with that, so no worries. But just know that from the registration until you're hired, the recruitment agency is there with you. And now, what the employers are looking for. As Albert said, the best role. They are looking for the one. If they are looking for one employee, sometimes it's like a big pool of people applying. They are looking for one. Then it's up to you to keep it up, keep the good communication, because we can make it work. It's hard, but it's not impossible. As an international mice, I can tell based on experience, I was very rejected. When I got the job for Untouchables, I was like, oh my gosh, I was already almost giving up. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is so hard, but I kept it up, because once you move to another country, you need to know you are already different from other people who left in your country. You wanted that, you went for it. So keep this energy. The same energy that made you apply, that made you move, is the energy that you need to keep going. I know sometimes it's quite frustrating, quite difficult, but really keep going, because it's gonna happen. Team fit is something that is very, very important in the Netherlands, because in the end, they already know, if they invite you, as I said, they know your CV, they know your background, but now they can see, okay, this person will get along with my team. They're going to work good together. So that's important, that show the best version of yourself. Social skills are on the table, hard, soft skills, everything. You need to use all your power to perform. While applying, there are must skills and nice skills to have. For example, if it's a customer support Spanish speaker position, if you are a German speaker, you should not apply for the Spanish, because they are looking for Spanish. So it's very good for you to read the job descriptions, because as I said, if you apply for many jobs and they are not a fit, not a match for you at all, it's just more rejections, more frustration, not good at all. And there are things that are nice to have. For example, if it's a customer support in Spanish, 4 years of experience. But let's say that you have only 3 or 2. We can try. So, okay, you are a Spanish speaker, you have the good background, you have 2 years. Okay, we can discuss it, and maybe I can talk to my clients. Look, the communication is very good. They have, but yeah, he or her have 2 years. Is that okay? Shall we move forward? And then we can discuss. So there are things that are must, there are things that are nice to have. So keep it in mind. The same about hard and soft skills. Some, especially in the Netherlands, there are a lot of skills that are transferable. For example, my background was in diversity and inclusion and commercial. So I was like, when I started applying for recruitment, I was like, okay, do I need to present myself as a recruiter and highlight what I have done? As I speak and as a marketeer in commercial, I have recruited my own team. So I did interview process. I did all this kind of things that was not on my CV as a marketeer. My CV was like Google ads, Instagram, blah, 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 nothing related to recruitment. When I understood that, I was like, okay, I need to switch. So I did another CV for recruitment, mentioning cold calling, recruitment process, pipeline management, everything related to recruitment. So it's not that I was lying on my CV, but I was just highlighting other skills. I had my marketing more related to ads and have my recruitment related to who I was as the recruitment part of my role. For example, a lot of people like Aubrey, she has background in psychology. So something that's a lot of things in psychology are transferable for recruitment as well, for marketing as well. So it's just a matter of you highlighting the correct skills, and all the hard skills, depending on the company, they can teach you how to do. But the soft skills are things that are born with you, who you are. So it's very important that you are aware once you are applying. Motivation in preparation. From the beginning into the end, you must be ready and motivated. Because if the company, for example, they ask 2 rounds of interviews, and in the third round, they say, okay, we want a third round. I had candidates that they were in the third round, and they say, okay, third round. I was not ready for that. I thought I would already get, and then in the third round, they dropped the ball. I said, okay, PT, because you're almost there, but you didn't show the energy in the third round. So it's very important. If you want that, go for it. Because if you don't go, someone else will go. So it's very important that you keep it in mind. Professional communication from the beginning to the end as well. Even if you are rejected, happens a lot like that, to go give a rejection. We try to do our best to make a good feedback for you guys to really learn from it. But if you don't get the feedback properly and don't understand, probably you're gonna make the same mistake again. Or if you don't keep the good communication and you say, okay, what is this? Or, you don't understand and don't have a good change with the recruiter or the hiring manager, it can be bad for you, because maybe this role going to be open again. But if you make a good impression, you say, okay, I appreciate the process, let's keep in touch, and you keep your network running, the chances that you can get this job later is very high, because it's okay, this person really got good feedback. I had a good process. So your CV, you gonna be in the minds of the person and the recruiter or hiring manager, and the chance that you can be approached again is very big. So keep it in mind. Also, some practical considerations like sponsorship, commuting distance, salary expectations. There are things that you must know in advance, because it's very bad if you, for example, are in the process of a company that don't offer sponsorship, or a company that offered like a 3,500 salary and your expectations is 4,000, and then after you are not happy with the job and you want to negotiate to higher, comparing what they can offer you. So always is good. There are things that you must know in advance, so you are with expectations aligned from the beginning. Okay, let's go for the next. The timing, the clock's kicking. I will try to cover everything. About Taylor CV. We have a full webinar talking about it, but I already saw in the chat some people, they already mentioned they are moving to the Netherlands. That is very important, guys, that you mention your new address in your CV, or that you are open for relocation, or that you have concrete plans for relocating. Because once we open your CV, let's say that you live in the UK or in India, we don't know we can open your CV and we say, okay, this person is living abroad. Next, we will not. Sometimes, if it's really a great match, we can call and say, hey, are you moving or not? But if you have so many applicants, we don't have the time to call everyone. So as much information you can add on your CV, please do that for us. Just make easy for us, for you, for everyone. So tailoring the CV for the position and add as much information as possible, the best. Okay, max 2 pages if it's possible. It is the ideal, but there are exceptions for sure. But we have on a full webinar about CVs. You guys can take a look. About the storytelling, have a good storytelling, please, because your CV is your first impression, and your interview, your first round of interview, is your first impression part 2. So it's very important that you keep it sharp, because if your CV tell one story and during the interview you don't know how to build it up, and you show that you know the story not making sense, okay, so you lose a chance. Because I always say to candidates, if you're applying for many jobs and getting many rejections, is because your CV is not good enough. You must do work on your CV. If you are getting invites, going for interviews, and not crossing the first round of interview, second or so what, then the problem is with your storytelling. So you must align everything for everything be very making sense, so it increases your chances for sure. Consistency between your CV and your LinkedIn. As I said, if you have one CV for customer support and one for management, on your LinkedIn, everything must be there together. Because if I open your CV and I say, okay, customer support, and I open your LinkedIn and there's not a match at all, I was like, okay, what's going on? This doesn't make sense. But on your CV, as I said, max 2 pages if it's possible. But on the LinkedIn aspect, there's no limitation. So go on, add your story there, add your skills and everything, highlight the strength you have, the background and everything. And I'm sure, yeah, when you open, everything gonna make sense. Network, very important. I know it's quite cliche, but yeah, you never know. Like, for example, you guys are here today chatting, liking each other's posts, having a conversation. You never know who you're talking. You know, when you join webinars, when you go for online, offline events, be out there, talk to people. That's how internationals build a network and career in the Netherlands or wherever you go. And don't forget to find the best match for you, because if you find a good company, you think that's the company I want, go for it. So it's easier, because if the company see that, oh my God, this person is really a match, is really want this job, is really aligned with our identity, what we stand for. So this is easier for you to sell yourself if you're genuinely connected to the brand, than if you don't like, or you're just looking from a job. So this is make it harder, because the companies now, they're looking for the one, and if you're just looking for a job, then yeah, your chances get more difficult. So make sure that the recruiter can easily see what you have to offer, so your application is not overlooked. How the marketing is evolving. AI, guys, go for it. Learn everything what you can about AI for any position. AI is very relevant. It is a topic. I know a lot of things, and a lot of people are not very use it or don't like it, but unfortunately or fortunately, this is the future. Technology is not going back. So it's very important that you guys keep the eye on AI, what you can improve in processes on your position. Because if you go to the job interview for whatever position and you have, share some knowledge about the role, update how AI can help the company. All companies are looking into it right now to make better processes and everything. So keep it in mind, because yeah, in the end, this is the future. More focus on the skills over titles. As again, the example for recruitment, if you say, okay, recruitment, and then you say, okay, I'm not a recruiter, but if you're going to look the skills, okay, I need to be good with people, I need to communicate, I need to be organized. There are a lot of skills that many people with different backgrounds will say, okay, for example, I never thought I would be a recruiter before. And reading a job description, I was like, oh, I am a recruiter. I didn't know. And now I'm working and that was for 3 years. I love to be a recruiter. I never thought I would become a recruiter before. So it's very important that you guys read the job descriptions, because maybe you're going to find out a new career path in a new country, and you're going to have fun. So keep it in mind. More competition globally. With internet and globalization, the competition is not only between people on your circle in your university. is with the whole planet. So it's very important that you are aware of this, because all the time people say, okay, I'm getting many rejections and blah, blah, blah. But you are competing with everyone. People can apply from different places. So if someone tailor the CV, do what I said about the relocation, they can get a job from another country comparing to someone who is living here. So it's very, yeah, it can vary. So it's very important that you take everything serious. Increase of diversity and inclusion focus. Many companies are looking into it right now. So management, everyone focused on that. Some companies, they stand for this. For me, that's very important. So I was looking for companies that value this. So if this is important for you, do a research, because sometimes the company is very, back in time and they don't evolve in diversity. That's hard. If this is important for you as an international and you are applying for a company that's not international, not into diversity and inclusion, yeah, then maybe it's not a company for you. So be aware, because some companies, they promote this online, they don't follow up, but do a good research before going for this, because in the end, values matters. And if you are, for example, into sustainability, then you don't go for companies for oil and gas, or if you are vegan and you don't go for production aspect. So it's very important that you take a step back and say, okay, do I want to work for this company? Because mostly employers, they are looking for people for the long term. So if you already don't like the business, the values, the vision, yeah, don't go for it. Because preparation makes you advance your career for the future. What makes you stay relevant? Strong communication skills, very relevant. Go for it. Improve your communication. Try your with your friends. If you're failing during interviews, practice, practice, practice. Talk, 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 talk. Because and it's jumping on the fire that you guys learn. For example, I was thinking about myself. I was talking to Aubrey in the beginning. Before my first webinar, I was shaking. I had everything written over here. I was not really paying attention in the presentation, but I was like jumping on the fire, trying myself harder to improve my communication. There are a lot to improve, I'm sure, but I'm already way further than I was when I started working at Untouchables. So it's jumping on the fire, being out there and trying to improve your communication that you get there. So always be aware, learn, develop yourself. There are a lot of courses that you don't need to pay available online for you to follow. As I said, we have many webinars that you guys can watch. Make yourself better. We always have room to improve ourselves. We just need to be out there and try. Ability to work with AI tools, that's almost becoming a must. For example, the Microsoft Word tool now is almost impossible for you to find an office job without this. Some people say, I can work with Word. Okay, and what else? Because in the beginning, it was like something new, but now there's not anymore. It's a must. You must have this skill. But for the AI, is something that is, quite new. So be on top of it, and I'm sure you guys can get more invites. Clear personal brand on and offline. Social medias, LinkedIn account, make everything make sense. In the end, show who you are. Understand first who you are and try to show it in the best way. For sure, there are versions, different versions, a professional version, offline version, but try to make everything make sense, because as much more you are yourself and you have a clear personal brand, this makes you succeed in your career. And a long-term mindset. Always keep developing yourself, because it's not always that the management is going to take you by the hand and say, look, let's build your career. It's not like that. Sometimes we are lucky and this happen, but mostly it's on you. So you take your career, take the lead and say, okay, I'm here, but I want to get there. What can I do? Learn, develop, ask, say the manager, for sure, if you're hired for this position, accept your position, learn that position first before want to go further, because when they hire you for that position, they want you performing that. They don't like people who start here after 2 months, I want to be promoted. This is not the way to go. So be ambitious, but also be aware of the long-term thing. Develop yourself in the direction that you want. I try to be very fast to cover everything. So we can maybe do a Q&A. Go, Aubrey.
Yeah, I already saw in the chat the question of are we even going to get to the Q&A? Louise and I can stick around for a couple extra minutes, so we'll record it. I know some of you probably have to go right at the hour mark, and that's totally okay. So if that's the case, don't worry. What we get to answer live, then we'll still record, so you can watch it on YouTube. And what we don't get to answer, feel free to send us a message later. And I will also, when we send out the the recording next week, I'll try to answer some of the main questions that pop up. I've seen some things in the chat that many people related to. So we'll try to give a bit of a summary, some answers in writing, what we don't get to cover today, because there's a lot of questions. So we'll close this off and then answer some questions for those of you who can stick around for a few minutes. And then the rest will come later, or send us a personal message. I saw quite a few private or personal questions as well about your specific situation, or what to do when you have a gap in your CV, different things like that. So feel free to send us a message so that we can help you out on that specific question as well. So just to close off, before we jump to that final Q&A session, remember, the market is open. There's a lot of opportunities still available, even though there's been some shifts in where that is and how competitive it is. So it's more selective, but it is open. So don't give up, keep trying. Understanding the market already gives you an advantage. The more you learn about what's going on and what is expected, the better you're going to be able to put yourself forward and have successful applications, and also understand when it's not successful, what you can do about it. Like Louise talked a lot about, clarity and positioning matter way more than volume. That doesn't mean you can send out one application and expect that it will work, but it does mean that quality is better than quantity, and it's going to help you stand out in a competitive market, because your value has to be visible in order for someone to reward it and to give you a job. So it needs to be visible on your CV, during your interview, at every phase of the process. And staying curious and adaptable, it's really going to help you. That's the most important thing we can say to future-proof your career growth, is just keep that flexible mindset, keep learning and growing. And in the Netherlands, that really matters because of those transferable skills. You can really get a long way with just trying to adjust and keep growing as you go. So you don't have to know everything, but it helps if you can have a focus on being clear, relevant, and stay resilient and adaptable along the way. So we have come to the lovely Q&A session. For those of you who... Oh, go ahead, you're ready to go?
I am already selecting so we can make it a little bit more quick. We can already select some, so we can make this a little bit on time. Nice. But okay, someone asked about the Dutch language, why if it's very important to know or not, depending on the position. For example, I have a financial position that the company, because mostly the company that's hire undutchables, they're international companies, so people speak English there. They always speak English, so you are safe. But for example, this position is a finance position, so you must know Dutch taxes. You don't need to speak Dutch. But for example, if you're applying for a position where you need to speak with clients and Dutch clients, then you must speak Dutch. So depending on the position you apply, from some position that's a must, some position that is nice to have. So everything depends on the position you're applying for. Let me see another one. Yeah, here there are professions or where companies don't like to work with recruitment agencies, mostly the easy ones. If there is an easy position, for example, English speaking, customer support, or something that is more easy for them to find without recruitment agency, because for them is a paid service, for you guys it's not paid, but for them it is. So if they can find easily candidates, they do with their recruitment team or something. But some companies, for example, if we have a small team, too many volume, they also will use us as a service because we do the whole recruitment part. So they only get the best people. So because once they post a role, they get, for example, let's say 500 applications, and then with untouchables, they already cross all this part and they get like 3 candidates that are good, and probably from there it goes on. So yeah, mostly for easy positions, or if they have a team running, they do. Otherwise, if it's more difficult, language combination, something like that, they send it to us, and then it's up to us to make it work.
On the language thing, I also see a lot of questions about Dutch levels. What is expected? What can you do? It is true. I saw someone asking if it's true that Dutch is becoming less, like more of a non-negotiable part of applications. And we are seeing that in the market, that more and more companies are looking for a combination of languages rather than just English, or just English and another language without Dutch. But I did also see someone else who said, hey, I don't speak fluently or not at a professional level. That's okay. Often, actually, that Dutch level is something that can be negotiated in the sense that if you're willing to learn, or if you're already learning but not quite at professional fluency, that still counts for a lot, both because of your motivation and ability to move forward and try to learn it, as well as the fact that you can then follow along a bit better in the office as well. So definitely don't give up. I would even advise, if you're learning Dutch, like put on your Duolingo and put it on your CV that you're learning Dutch already. That will already help you stand out from the crowd who isn't
Yeah,
learning
for sure.
Dutch. Yeah.
I have a question here also about the sponsorship. Say, could you please provide insights on why most of recruiters refuse to provide work permit sponsorship? That is not we refuse because it's not up to us. If we could, we would provide sponsorship for everyone. But unfortunately, the companies are not very easy on that. And if they go for this, if they go for sponsorship, it's because they are looking for that candidate. Very specific, high-skilled people, mostly related to IT, that what they provide. There are exceptions for management or so what, but mostly they are looking for a very specific person, because if first they're gonna look for people here who are already living here, because the housing situation also in the Netherlands is quite difficult and everything at the moment. So they are looking for people already with the sponsorship and living here. If they don't find this professional here, they start opening up. So unfortunately, it's not all the companies. We wish it was, but once mostly we put in the job description if the company provides sponsorship or not. And then keep in mind, if the position offers sponsorship, the competition is even higher. So tailoring CV preparation extra, please.
Yeah, definitely. I also, when it comes to sponsorship and in general, I saw some questions about when can I reach out to a recruiter? Can I do that before the job application? Because that's not as common in some other countries. You can, and especially if it says you can reach out to the recruiter, feel free. Make sure you do it in a professional way that helps you to stand out. But you can say, hey, I'm interested in the position. I wanted to know if sponsorship is available for this position because I didn't see it on the job description if it's not there. So it is possible, whether it's about sponsorship or not. You can reach out to the recruiter. Just make sure you do that in the most professional possible way to expand your network.
Yeah.
And I think in general, network is going to be a big one. I saw quite a long discussion in the chat about like having something not on your CV and then being rejected for that reason, and responding saying, hey, but that's not the case, and then never hearing back. Unfortunately, that can happen. That we do our best at Untouchables to respond to everything that we can, because we really want it to be a personal experience, no matter how far we can get along in the process together. But sometimes there's just an overflow of applications, and also for other companies and corporate recruiters. So it's always important to put as much information as possible on your CV when it comes to things like that, like Louise mentioned, with your address, or if you don't need sponsorship or do. Those things are helpful to put on so that you don't receive a rejection based on that. And if you don't hear back, you can always still follow up, just like with what we talked about with reaching out to the recruiter ahead of time. You can follow up and say, hey, you mentioned you'd get back to me in a couple of weeks. I haven't heard anything, just wanted to clarify this. If you still don't hear back, that's a shame. Try to link with them on LinkedIn and still keep your network going, and hopefully then that will help. But that's what I would say, is you can still nudge and try to communicate, and hopefully then if you're working with a recruiter who then they can clarify that. Also with an agency, we can put that in our information in your profile so that other recruiters in our agency know that, so that that's clearer for the next time you apply, things like that.
Yeah, for sure, because for sure we try to make it personal and answer everyone. But let's say, like, for example, now we have 200 people here. If each of you send an email, we do our best to catch up, to answer your LinkedIn connection. But so many people get so many emails every day that sometimes we can't keep it up, unfortunately. So it's very important that you keep the professional communication, and we're gonna get there. If one day we get in touch in an online event, offline event, that you keep professional. So yeah, once we get it, the communication, we can make it work for sure. Some people, they ask about the CV and motivation letter. for untouchables, it's a must that your CV is in English. So don't try to do in Dutch, especially if you're not Dutch speaker, because yeah, you can make mistakes. So go in English, then you are safe. And if I would choose between motivation letter and CV, I would say spend your time making your CV tailored, because if your CV is not tailored and you write a motivation letter, you spend time making the text, making it looking good, and in the end your CV is not good. So yeah, I would advise you to focus on your CV more than the motivation letter. And then for some companies, we ask the motivation later on in the process. So it's very important that the CV is the priority for the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're gonna start closing down. I know there are a lot of questions still.
Yeah,
I
really
wish we
sorry,
could
guys.
sit here together for hours to answer them all, but in the meantime, I'm gonna move this to a next screen so that those of you who want to share your CV with us can do that here. And also, here's an email address. You can reach out to us at recruitment@undutchable.nl. That way we can help to answer the questions that haven't been answered. Like I mentioned, when we'll send out the email that has the recording next week and send out some more answers to some of these questions, because I look through and I see some of you have also done that and thumbs up things that that you all have questions about. So we'll make sure to send that out along with the recording next week and answer as much as we can there. So if we didn't get to your question, I'm sorry that we couldn't get to everything today. Thank you for those of you who stayed a bit longer to listen. I see that we only have a few let's see, a few people left, so we're going to answer one more question, and then we'll move on and answer the rest through email or through that information next week. So if you had a question that didn't get answered, please send it to the email that's listed there, and we can help you out so that we can help you find the next steps in your career. Louise, you have one more last good question that we can finish up with?
Okay, someone asked about general ledger roles in the Netherlands. Yes, we have. So take a look in our website. I particularly have 2 roles related to finance at the moment, general ledging, especially credit controller. So yeah, take a look in our website. Look in there, you can just use the filter, finance filter, language skills if there's any requirement. So take a look and then just apply. As I said, we have now we can, if you don't have your registration there yet, please make it on our website. If you already have, if you can go back there just to make sure that you have everything filled up, all the information in the registration aspect. Really nice for us to have, because we can find you, as I said. And then I already saw some people connecting with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect. Aubrey as well. If you send messages, be patient. As soon as we can get back to you.
Yes.
Okay.
For sure. We have a lot of information on our website as well. So if your question didn't get answered, but it's about visas or the recruitment process in the Netherlands, there's a lot that can already help you there. And and on our YouTube channel from previous times that Louise and I have collaborated on webinars. So so feel free to check that out. In the meantime, we'll get the resources from this webinar sent to you by next week. And in the meantime, we just really want to thank you all for being here. It was a great group, really great questions also.
Thank you.
So we look forward to answering the ones after the session as well. And thank you for being here and for sticking around for this session. We hope that it was helpful and that it will help you get started on your next steps in your career in the Netherlands.
Yes, keep it up, guys. Keep it up. High energy preparation. Let's go. Let's make it work.